Trent Triola, Selection Tools and eCommerce Manager at Dodge Industrial. So Dodge Industrial makes mechanical power transmission products, and so these are products in the industry to help move material, whether that's hundreds of tons per hour of aggregate or, a few dozen chickens per second in a smaller processing facility. A little bit ago, we were actually divested by our former parent company and acquired by a new company. And a lot of our SaaS solutions that we used in-house were through that old parent company. And we had to essentially stand up a new PIM and DAM very quickly within under a year. And Akeneo seemed like the easiest option and the fastest to get up and going, and that definitely proved to be true. So the onboarding was good. We partnered with an integration partner, Bounteous. They did a good job of helping us get started. A lot of the things in the software were really helpful. I mean, the templates themselves are very easy to work with. The process of uploading data, making changes, it allowed us to also, through this process, reassess the quality of our data. So we made a ton of quality improvements during this implementation, and that was just part of the process naturally. For us, right, we go to market through industrial distribution and direct to original equipment manufacturers. And so for us, right, providing accurate product information is incredibly important due to the fact that if somebody gets the wrong part, that might affect a downtime situation. And in industry, right, if you have downtime, that's tons of dollars of lost revenue. So for us, having accurate product information on our website, accurate images, accurate manuals, all of those things are really important to make sure the customers get what they need and they don't have any of those lost downtime incidents. So since we've had Akeneo, launching new products from a digital marketing standpoint has been significantly easier. We rolled out Akeneo as an environment to two different groups within our company, our product management group as well as our engineering group. And they, through a combination of that, handle different things, attributes, asset associations. And for every new product that we've launched since, it's been a very easy process for them to go in and find the family that it should go into or create a new family, create the new attributes that are needed, the new attribute values, populate the information, and roll it out easily to our e-commerce site. So this used to be a big blocker for us, and right now it is just probably the easiest part of launching a new product. So Akeneo has helped us with our data quality by giving us those scores, right, and allowing us to identify what's missing and quickly make changes. And so that typical process, we would find out a lot of times, right, we would get a notice from one of our sales engineers that says, hey, this information is wrong on our e-commerce site. The quality score didn't catch it because it was filled in. It was just filled in with the wrong value. Maybe there was a dropped zero somewhere along the way, right? So a speed rating was off by, 1-0, which is not good. And so what we were able to do is our engineers, as soon as they get those requests, they're able to go into the PIM, they're able to export the data or use the built-in filters to figure out if this is a systemic issue, if this applies to a bunch of different products, or if it's just this one, and then they can very easily, with bulk actions or through an upload, depending on their preference, change that value for all of those products where the quality is incorrect. So single source of truth is very important for us as a engineering company, right, making mechanical power transmission technical products. So we're still in the process of improving our PLM practices, and there's some limitations there, right, because we're going through digital transformation. We're upgrading our ERP, so to a certain extent, it doesn't necessarily make sense to do a lot of those things now before that digital transformation is complete. And so in the meantime, Akeneo has been this perfect solution to allow us to get this product data. So ultimately, right, we would like this data to originate from our ERP. That's really not possible right now. We don't want to build an integration with our old ERP. We want to do it with our new one. And so what we are able to do is use the PIM and maintain the data there. That is something that our application engineering team does. So it's really important to us that the technical data, the product attributes, that is all owned by the engineering team, right? They are the ones who work with these products, they're the ones who interface with customers on it. So once they own that data in the PIM, it's very easy for us to syndicate that down to downstream applications. And we're not just syndicating it to our e-commerce site or to our distribution partners, we are also syndicating this information to internal applications as well. So we have a suite of product selection tools, right, that are, product configurators and, product configurators and different selection tools that are used, right? A really good example of how this helped us is we launched our IntelliLube product. This is an automatic greasing device for mounted bearings. The differentiator from a Dodge perspective is that this automatic lubricator is smart. It's connected to our automation platform, and Akeneo feeds data to that automation platform. So the automation platform knows what is there, but it also feeds data to our grease calculator program, which allows an individual to configure that automatic lubricator for their individual application. So that data ultimately comes from the PIM. It goes to this grease calculator that the customer uses to configure the device, but it also goes to the automation platform itself so that there's the necessary product information there when a customer goes to commission and review that device as it's operating. So I think our biggest challenge from a PX strategy perspective is the single source of truth of that data, right? I mean, for us, it's very important that that information lives with our engineers that maintain this data, that make changes to ratings, make improvements that launch new products. And for us, it's very important that you have that single source of truth that we can disseminate out to all these different options. So that has been the most important thing to get right. And for right now, Akeneo is allowing us to use it as that single source of truth and then get it to those downstream applications. And those downstream applications are used a lot by our customers. Our e-commerce site is widely used. Around 30% of our transactions go through our e-commerce site. And that's a big number, right? So having correct product information there is really important for us. I would say our biggest PX success so far is this IntelliLube product, this automatic greasing device. For us, right, launching this new product is a new thing for us, right? Creating a maintenance device is not something that we've done at scale, but automation is the future of every industry. And so for us to be able to properly maintain our equipment in the field is a huge value add for the customers. And having all of the data for that automatic lubricator to work, not just for itself, like what grease goes in the cartridge of that lubricator, but also the different parameters of the bearing, right? How is that bearing structured? The types of rollers that are inside, the dimensions of those rollers, that all affects those grease calculations. And so having all that information in the PIM as our single source of truth allows this device to work properly. So one of the greatest challenges that we see in our industry right now is the loss of expertise and talent. We have folks that are retiring and they're not being replaced with people with the same knowledge. And those people that are now coming into the industry new, there is no expectation that they learn all of these things, right? That's just not the world we live in anymore. So for all of these new people, all this new talent coming into our industry, being able to find out the product information themselves is the expectation. So for our customers, right, they are used to the Amazon experience. They go there, they look at their thing that they want to buy, they see associated images, they see the attributes, they see descriptions. They want that from us because they don't know. And if we're talking about the alternative to this is that an individual looks in a catalog, right? And we've got, half a dozen catalogs, more depending on how you want to count it. And these catalogs are incredibly helpful for a lot of people, for our sellers, but for your average person to just get a catalog dumped in front of you and have to sort through that's a really challenging experience if you don't know anything about the product. So by having a good PX strategy, we're able to get our data to our e-commerce site so that it is readily accessible by individuals, but also to these other downstream applications so it can be used in a teaching way as well as a selling way. So for other B2B companies, what I would recommend that they do is that they get good data. That's the most important thing, is that your data is accurate and it's accessible. So it's very easy for a lot of customers and a lot of other to search for information online and then not get what they need. And if you can't get what you need, if you don't have confidence in what you're buying, you're not going to buy it. And with the lack of expertise, having that good quality data is really important, and making it accessible publicly is also a big deal. So the scheduled exports from Akeneo have been a really big benefit for us. Previously, when we were managing our internal data for these different systems, right, it was custom Excel sheets or stuff in SQL databases, and what we've now transitioned to is essentially an automatic process to ingest this new data on a daily basis. So what that means is a piece of data is wrong on our e-commerce site. An engineer can fix that data, and then the next day it's correct on the e-commerce site. And that turnaround time, where we can fix data within a day by doing this automatic ingest of these syndication files, has been a huge win for us and where most of our savings have been.